All right, mathletes. So looks like you're getting ready for that SAT. So what we're gonna do is hopefully you got time and you're not cramming because we want to study this SAT prep over a long period of time, right? I don't want you learning all this at once, right? So what I want you to do is we're gonna do it, say 5 or 10 questions at a time so that you have time to digest this and you have time to practice yourself, right? Because again, you could watch me shoot 1,000 shots. That does you no good. You need time to practice. So again, we want to chunk this. So I want to do maybe 5, 10 questions at a time, and you go over and try similar problems. What we're going to do is, if you check out the link down below, you're going to see where these questions are located, and so that you could continue practicing on your free time. All right, so let's dive into this. So we're in the math portion of the test, of course, Dr. Math Studios, and we're looking at this portion where there's no calculator. And again, something you have to get used to is this time limit. So you want to be able to recognize, identify these problems. So this is why you have to spend a lot of time practicing on your own. So let's dive in here. So question 1, a painter will paint N walls with the same size and shape in a building using a specific brand of paint. The painter's fees can be calculated by the expression N times K times L times H, where N is the number of walls, K is the constant with units of dollars per square foot, L is the length of each wall in feet, and H is the height of each wall in feet. If the customer asks the painter to use a more expensive brand of paint, which of the factors in the expression would change, right? That was a mouthful, and this is why the practice is really going to help you out, because that's so much information. And so let's dive in here and let's zoom into, what are they asking us? So they're saying which of the factors, and when they say factors, a factor is something that's being multiplied. So the N, the K, the L, and the H, all those are factors. Which one is changing? And look what they said. We're using a more expensive brand of paint. What does that mean? It's gonna cost more, right? If it's more expensive, that relates to the cost. Which one of these has cost built in? Well, look at K. K is the units of dollars per square foot. So here, K is the one that's changing because K represents that cost. All right, everything else is not impacted. So for part A, the answer is C, K. All right, that's not so bad. It's just a lot of words, and diving in here and make sure you understand what the heck is being asked, because they give us a lot of information there and it's easy to get lost, right? Some of you fell asleep already, like this guy. All right, question number 2. Let's do this. If 3r equals 18, what is the value of 6r plus 3? And some of you are like, wait, where'd they get 6r plus 3? Don't worry about that. Think about, what does this depend on? Well, this outcome depends on your value of r. So what we're going to need to do, right, is first use this equation, solve for r, whatever we get, then plug it in. All right, so we have 3r equals 18. Let's solve this. We're going to divide by 3, right? We're using our algebra skills, and we're left with 6. So now that we know that r equals 6, so what we're going to do is we're going to plug that r in there. So we got 6 times 6 plus 3. So we got 36 plus 3, and we got 39. Boom. So our answer is D right there. So again, sometimes we have to do a little bit of groundwork, right, to get all the information that we need to answer the question. So again, be ready for all these types of events to come up, right? So sometimes they're gonna give us some information. One little piece might be missing, so you'll have to use something else that was given to take out that piece that was missing. All right, so again, I can't be giving you guys all my secrets. So check it out. Part 3, question 3. Which of the following is equal to a raised to the 2/3? Well, first of all, you got to know your exponent rules. So here's some rules that you should already know. All right. So if you had a to let's say the 1/2 power, that's the same thing as the square root of a. And the reason is, right, whenever you have a square root, that index, that invisible, there's an invisible 2 right there, right? So this is the same thing as just a square root of a. These, all three of these mean the same exact thing, because we have a rule that says this: a raised to the, we'll say n divided by m, right? That's, we have a rational exponent. That just means our exponent's a fraction. So using our rules, when I rewrite this as a radical, this is a raised to the n. So our numerator, right, is right there. And this denominator, this guy right here, is called our index, and that is right there. All right. So just in case later on, if you don't have an index that's written, it's automatically understood to be a 2. All right, later on, in case they change that question on you. So if they don't give you an index, it's a 2. But if it's not 2, then they're going to have to tell you what it is. So here, notice our n in this case is 2, right? And our denominator is 3. So this, if I were to rewrite this using the definition right here, this is the same thing as the cube root, right? Because that's our index. The number in the denominator is our index, right? And we have a squared. And again, you might get this version of the test, right? But I've been looking at different versions, and this is also equal to the cube root of a, and that is squared. The reason being is that the definition also says, right, that the cube root of a, the mth root, right, the mth root of a, all that is raised to the nth power. So each one of these statements is equivalent as well. So again, you really have to make sure that you study the properties. So that's why I'm saying, don't just look at these examples, because they could change the format a little, and then you're like, oh wait, I didn't study that. So always go to the root of what you want to study. So yes, we're using this definition right here. So make sure you know this definition inside and out, so that when they change a little something on you, you're prepared. So in this case, our answer is D. Boom. All right, mathletes, making sense? Good, follow me. Question 4. So the number of states that joined the United States between 1776 and 1849. Let me write that down, because there's so many things going on here, and I hate keeping track of everything in my head. So the number of states that joined the United States between 1776 and 1849 is twice the number of states that joined between 1850, I should not put an equal sign there, I'll just put a little arrow here, 1850 and 1900. All right, so it says if 30 states joined the United States between 1776 and 1849, and X joined between 1850 and 1900, which of the following is true? All right, so notice what they tell us in the beginning. They tell us the number of states that joined here is twice the number of states that joined here, right? So the relationship is twice. And they tell us that if 30 states joined the United States here, right? So 30 states joined here, and X amount of states joined here, right? So in this case, the relationship is 2x equals 30. So how do we know it's 2x? How do we know that it's B? All right, so this is what we're gonna do here. So pay close attention. So what I'm gonna do here is use some highlighting so we can look at some key parts here. So between 1976 and 1849, look what it says. The number of states is twice the number of states that joined from 1850 to 1900. And it also tells us that 30 states joined in that period, that time period. So we know that this time period here, right, had 30 states. And then what they also tell us, let me highlight this, is that X states joined between 1850 and 1900. So 1850, 1900, we had X amount of states, all right? But what they tell us is that this 30, right, which is the number of states that joined between 1776 and 1849 is, so let me put that equal sign, is twice this number of states, right? Because this X represents the number of states that joined between 1850 and 1900. So that's where we throw in that 2 that's right here, because they tell us that the number of states that joined from 1776 and 1849, this number, which happens to be 30, is twice this amount. And how much was this amount? Well, it was X. So for them to be equal, 30 has to equal 2X. So again, you want to do these over and over, because what I see most people getting confused on is when they say twice or 3 times the amount of numbers, right? So get that practice in. All right, so there's the answer for number 4 here. Number 5, right? We have ratios. So they tell us if 5 over x equals 15 over x plus 20. So if they give us this, what is the value of x over 5, right? So you can't answer this question unless you know that value of x. So what we're going to do is we need to solve this proportion, this equation here that has ratios, right? So we're going to set this proportion, we're going to solve this proportion for x. So let's go ahead, and if you remember, if you have one fraction on each side of this equation, you could just cross multiply them. So let's go ahead and cross multiply them. So you have 5 over x equals 15 over x plus 20. So let's do a little razzle dazzle. Let's cross multiply. So we're going to multiply those two. So you get 5 times x plus 20. And then we're going to cross multiply these two, right? And you're going to get 15x. All right. So let's go ahead and solve this. So we're going to distribute. So you get 5x plus 100. And that's going to equal 15x, right? Let's get all our x's on the same side. Usually in real life, this is a horrible idea. You never want your x's in the same room, but here it's okay. So let's go ahead and subtract 5x from both sides. So you get 100 equals 10x, right? And we're going to divide both sides by 10. And you get x equals 10. And what I love about these questions, you're probably going to hate about these questions, is people are like, all right, I solved for my x. Boom, x equals 10, I'm done. Make sure you read the question and answer that question. It doesn't say what is the value of x. That's not what they're asking, right? So they're asking what is the value of x over 5. So now we know that x is 10. So we have 10 over 5. That's what we're looking for, the value of x over 5. And in this case, it's just 2. And there you go. So in so many of these questions, people, they want to jump the gun. They see an answer of x. But again, it's about making sure you read the question and understand what is it that they're asking you for. All right. So what we're going to do again is we're going to set this series up so that we're looking at maybe 5 to 10 questions at a time per video. And so I'll try to, so that we'll label this SAT video prep 1 or something like that. And then you just follow the sequence because we want you, doing your best on these SAT scores, because as you know, they're not that easy, but they are when you practice. They get easier and easier the more you practice. And look for these little tools that I'm going to be giving you throughout all these videos. So hopefully you found this helpful. Share it with a friend, right? You have friends taking the SATs or family members. Let them know about this resource. Like this video. So again, we want this to reach as many people as possible because again, not everyone could pay for those fancy classes that I used to teach all over the place, right? This is a free resource. I want you to get as close to perfect, right? Some of you are going to score perfect scores, which is crazy. That's awesome. And we want you to, again, have the best chance of getting to that college that you are looking forward to going to. All right, mathletes. So hopefully this is a video. Smash that like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Peace.